What's up, guys and gals? Welcome back to the Nerd Castle. Today in the world of indie games, we're going to be taking a look at a spin-off to one I feel is one of the most memorable, I would say, indie games to ever come out during the course of my career. It was a game called Let Them Come, and it was a vaporwave-infused, sort of gritty, dark game about the last Marine on a space station that was taken over by bugs and, like, flesh horrors and things like that, and you had a 50-cal machine gun and a boombox on your shoulder, and the entire game was you working your way through various corridors, getting more and more complex enemies, gunning them all down. There was bosses, there was unlocks, there was metagame progression. Well, the developers have apparently decided to make Let Them Come Onslaught, which is a Horde survival game that is very, very similar to the earlier game, except for the fact that this is now top-down and fashioned after Vampire Survivors. So today we're going to be taking a look at the game for about 30 minutes. We're going to see if it's something you wanted to add to your wish list, or if it's one of those games you would rather not play for yourself. If after watching this you did want to check this game out, I've got a link for you down below in the description. It'll take you straight on over to this demo that I'm playing right this second so that you can check it out as well. There'll be a bunch of other Nerd Castle links down below in case you wanted to click any of them and get a little bit closer. Ooh yeah, but let's dive on into the game and see if we can have a good time with it for about 25 or 30 minutes. I will say that my expectations are pretty high for this title. Given the fact that the previous game, I think, lives rent-free inside my head as one of those games that I really, really enjoyed over the years. And then adding to that is the fact that we have a very, very real sort of oversaturation of Vampire Survivors style Horde Survivors games. And so when you bring one of these games to market, it's definitely going to have to clack in order to stand out from the crowd. So for right now, inside the demo, we've only got one level that's available to us for playing. It's called the Crash Site. We could put it on endless mode. Oh, no, we can't inside the demo. Never mind. I never tried to click that button before. It seems like they're going to have different characters once the game actually goes into a finalized release. But for the moment, inside this demo, we can only play as the soldier. We can mess with the soundtrack because in Let Them Come, the soundtrack was a big draw for the game. Some absolutely fantastic sort of bumping synthwave wabba wabba music inside of there. We can pick and choose what starting weapon we want to have. I will probably go with the auto gun because I think it's a good standard weapon to always have. I think I've played this game for about 2 or 3 hours now, compiling my opening thoughts, but let's get smacked out of the sky by a giant space bug. Shall we? But I think I'm ready to render my first impressions of the game as of this point. So welcome to PlanetSide. One of the things that this game has going for it straight off the bat is just that this game has absolutely fantastic graphics, and it carries on in the same vein as the previous title. So the previous game had a great aesthetic. That's one of the things that really sold the original game, was that the aesthetic was so damn good for it that the relatively simple gameplay could sort of coast by on just the fact that the game dripped with style. This game also has that. Ooh, wow, I can have a rocket barrage, huh? But the core gameplay is not going to be anything that you haven't seen before. A fair warning to you. So right now on our first level up, we can get an auto gun, we can get a rocket barrage, or we can get electric grenades. I'm gonna go with the rocket barrage because that sounds rad as hell. I'm a big fan of anything that allows me to spray large missile packs at the enemy. Do you agree with me? Missile packs are one of the coolest things ever invented. Every video game that allows me to have like shoom missile packs that fire fully auto missiles until they run out, I can virtually guarantee you that that's a weapon that I'm going to take. I don't like any of these 3 weapons, so I'm going to re-roll it. We got Rocket Barrage level 2. I'll take it. We're going to go all in on the Rocket Barrage idea right now. Although it doesn't look like it's actually targeting enemies. It looks like it just kind of fires randomly and it hits what it hits. That's not going to be super useful in this early phase of the game that we're in right now, but later on when the whole screen is full of space bugs that are trying to munch on my duodenum, it'll be useful then. But as I was saying, this game does benefit from having an absolutely fantastic aesthetic. Games like this, Vampire Survivors style games, in my opinion, they tend to almost entirely be sort of low budget and have pixel art graphics, or the graphics themselves are just a complete and total afterthought. That has gotten better with a number of the standout titles to come along, and I do think that having a really good aesthetic, if you're trying to release into this oversaturated genre, is a really good idea. So that's a check-a-roonies right there, where I think the developers are really set up well. As far as the design of the game goes visually, it looks really good. The blood in chunks, the weapons sound sound great. The soundtrack is bumping in the background, and it does stand up to the soundtrack from the previous game, which did have really, really good music inside of it. So that's going to be one of those things that I think this game is doing exceptionally well. I'll take Volt Discharge right here. It's chain lightning, and you guys know me. I like any weapon that shoots lightning, and then that lightning chains in between a whole bunch of enemies. I don't know why that whole like bzzz, like thing is so satisfying to me, but it just is. Right now I'm playing Classic World of Warcraft, and in Classic World of Warcraft I'm playing an Elemental Shaman. And it's all because I wanted to chain lightning things. That was the entire focus right there. I like chain lightning so much that I dedicated months of my life to just firing chain lightning at stuff. That's how passionate I am about it. So I think that pick is going to be fairly safe when it comes to what I enjoy. So adding up the stuff that we've gotten on this character so far, we've gotten ourselves an auto gun that occasionally just goes bang, bang, bang at the enemy, giving us focused targeted damage. We've got missile packs right now that are firing all over the place. We've got a chain lightning discharge that's bouncing in between enemies, and then on top of that we've got electric grenades that we're throwing out that are creating dead zones that the enemy can't walk across. I'm going to take the next level of Volt Discharge right there because I don't think Volt Discharge is really going to come online until it's hitting as many enemies as potentially the rockets can hit with each shot. And so spreading that damage around very, very generously, you know, putting the spirit of Christmas in our heart when it comes to sharing our murder, I think will be a really good idea. Throughout the map, you will find resource crates. These are the exact same thing as pots or chests or anything else. They drop a whole bunch of currency that you can spend in between rounds in order to unlock new technology that will then come up in future runs. You can also use it, well actually I got that backwards. So it allows us that we have a talent tree in between runs that's split into 3 different categories. It allows you to unlock new talents on the talent tree using your money, but many of them are locked by doing achievements, and until you've done those achievements, you can't apply any money to them. Then from there, there are also just achievements that unlock new things that get added on into your run. No big surprise there, but it is all done well. That's the thing that I would say is my takeaway from this, is that it's a Vampire Survivors game that doesn't really feel like it has a hook yet. We're sort of living in a world now where Vampire Survivors has been out for like, what, 4 years? Like 2021, I think, was when that released. It's been out for a while now. And the oversaturation inside that genre has led to a lot of creativity when it comes to the developers trying to make a game that exists inside the Horde survival space as it stands right now, which means that you're starting to see very, very hybridized, very specialized versions of Vampire Survivors, where they're combining them with action RPGs, they're combining them with Pokemon, they're combining them with open world Terraria-style crafting gated games, they're combining it with Diablo, they're combining it with, like, gun building games in the case of Nimrods. There's lots and lots of, I mean, they're combining it with Hades, you know, with fantastic graphics and beautiful things going on and a compelling narrative that's transpiring in between your runs and like unlocking weapons in between your runs. You kind of get what I'm saying? They're starting to hybridize the genre because the idea of itself has more or less been fully mined out, if not by the original Vampire Survivors, which to this day is still getting upgrades and adding new features and new stuff that you can do inside of it, but also all the other spin-off titles that are now adding new genre influences to the overall experience. And so you're going to have some kind of hook here in order to draw people in. I think they've got the aesthetic going exceptionally well. I think this is a gorgeous game, and it's hands down one of the best feeling Horde survival games that I've seen up until this point. There's 1 or 2 other ones that I think are in contention, but this one here feels absolutely fantastic. The guns bump, the abilities look good, the soundtrack is fantastic, the little sprites that they've created look great, and they all have a unified art style. So that box has been checked, I think, and it puts the game in a really, really good spot to kick off of. But as it stands right now, I don't think the game actually has established a hook for itself just yet. I'm going to go with the Rocket Barrage again. I found that my runs are much, much more successful if I'm constantly just focusing on one weapon, and then I focus on the next weapon. Like, I try to get everything up to level 3 or level 4, and then from there, I start specializing, and Rocket Barrage is what we're going to specialize in on this run, although I wouldn't be against electric grenades, getting a couple upgrades in there as well. I feel like my level is looking okay for the timeline that we're in at the moment. We do have a nuclear strike that's on its way in to try to murder us. Our rockets are now on a much lower cooldown, which means we should be able to bomb out chunks of the map even more effectively. I'm going to try to get these little cubes over here so that I can keep leveling up, because with any game like this, it's usually pretty important to get ahead of the escalation curve that the game is offering. But up here we have a technology crate. This is different from just a loot crate. This guy right here is what you need to find, I think, if you want to evolve your weapons once you've got them up to max cap, from what I recall. It seems to be the function of these. I think they give us a free level up if we don't have a weapon at cap, but if we do have a weapon at cap, it'll allow us to do, if you've ever played something like Deep Rock Galactic, it allows you to modify one of your weapons. It calls it banishing safeguards or something like that, and you get to pick what you want a gun to do, and it can be anything from like it fires endlessly, or a gun that usually fires slow is now fully automatic, or if you're throwing out a grenade, instead of it being an impact grenade that explodes the second it hits the ground, now it bounces 5 times, and every single time it bounces, it blows up. And so those are definitely things that you're going to want to have. We'll take a grenade upgrade right there, just to increase the amount of dead zones that we're putting in front of the enemy, so that we're not tripping over ourselves. There's a blueprint inside of there. Unfortunately, there's a boss sitting on top of it. Let's take an upgrade. We can get an additional rocket if we really, really wanted to. Let's use this as an opportunity to bring our auto gun up a little bit. I feel like, I feel as though maybe I've been focusing on rockets a little bit too aggressively, but look at the sheer volume of gore that it's managed to put on the ground to make us feel good about ourselves. You know, I'll take Orbital Strike. Orbital Strike gives us an area of denial beam around ourselves, just in case anything cuts through the thicket of bullets that we've been arranging in front of everything. And then I think I'm just going to focus really, really heavily on getting myself leveled up as fast as possible. We now have environmental effects that are being thrown throughout the battlefield. We're going to need to watch out for those. There's lightning strikes coming down from the sky, and then later on, enemies will be adding more dead zones that we can't walk into with their projectile attacks as well, just making this whole experience even more intense. If I had to say one thing that really pops out to me about this game as we're playing on through it, it is actually the intensity. This is a Vampire Survivors style Horde survival game. I know I've been saying that word a lot. Hopefully you all aren't playing drinking games on my accord right now to see how many times I'm going to say it. But this is one of the few games in the genre that feels very, very intense straight off the bat, and it does come strapped with a dash that you can use. The interesting thing about the dash in this game is that it only recharges back up to 1 charge while you're playing through. And while it's recharging, it takes a long time, like 20 seconds if you haven't picked up any buffs or anything, to get 1 dash charge back. But enemies can drop dash charges that stack up to 3 or 4, and that gives you an added incentive to sort of go into the enemies and grab those things, because if you think about what a dash is inside this game, it gives you iframes. So it's basically like a 2 or 3 second shield that's going to allow you to break through the enemy when you need to and when you require to, when you otherwise might be stuck. Let's just focus on maxing out our rocket barrages for right now, because I do feel like we're getting really, really, really good damage out of it. I didn't actually check the damage meter. This game does give you a damage meter every single time that you level up, so that you can figure out which weapons are pulling their weight and which weapons are not. There's a dash charge right there, in case you were wondering what those looked like. And then, of course, scattered around the map, there are these little objectives where it's like an overclock terminal, or it's like a, I don't really even know what to call it, an overcharge terminal. So sometimes you'll see like a little antenna, and it'll seem like it's making a phone call when you're standing next to it. What it's actually doing is, if you survive long enough for the meter to go all the way down, it makes it so your weapons fire continuously for like the next 30 seconds, which can be great for farming up XP. And in fact, I think that's kind of where we're at right now. So there's one up there to our top left. I'd like to pick up some HP as we move our way through the map as well. Let's get this chest opened. Rockets made a gap over here, so, oh, dude, it got blocked by lightning. I swear to God, the lightning looks at where I've recently created a gap, and every single time it locks me on. Oh, we've got a supply drop. I think our missiles are just about ready for an Evo, too. So I may have to, okay, just dash through those. There's no way we're getting out of that without taking damage without dashes, so we'll just burn the dashes right there, and then we'll try to make our way to the supply cache over on this side, if the enemies will allow me to get through them. The problem with the rockets is that they are very, very imprecise, and now I don't have any dashes left either. I'm gonna have to move up right here, and I'm gonna have to wait and see what my rockets do on their next launch. Okay, they moved me over to here. I have one dash charge left. My rockets fired in the direction that I wanted them to fire in, which is great, but I have no control over where my guns are firing inside of this game. I have found that it becomes a particular problem. I am a big proponent in games like this of twin stick mechanics. Let me aim where my guns are going to be shooting at, so that I can clear paths for myself and whatnot. It's not really a problem during the Horde clear phase of the game like we're doing right now, because it creates these moment-to-moment spur of impulse. I have to move in this direction right this second. Even though I don't want to go that direction, it's the direction that I've cleared out a gap. It makes the combat feel adaptable and sort of variable on the fly and intense. However, where auto-fire ran into problems for me with this game was when I was fighting the boss. I couldn't get any of my guns to shoot the boss, and since we're in a time limit race against a nuclear strike that's coming in to kill us, killing the boss and focusing on the boss is kind of important since you're on a time limit, and I just couldn't get my guns to focus on the boss, and ultimately I ended up losing because all of my guns were firing at everything but the boss. And so I think I would like to be able to aim my guns, at least during the boss fight. Our safety protocol override. Every fourth activation of our missiles is now a nuclear bomb. Our nuke deals massive damage at the point of impact, and then the nuclear shockwave deals damage in a massive radius. We have to take that. That just sounds way too awesome. Mini nuclear rocket launchers like they have in Starship Troopers? Yeah, man. That's peak bug killing right there. And if the only good bug is a dead bug, I want all the bugs to be dead. Let's focus on getting our auto gun up and running next. Our guns should be firing basically endlessly at this point because we're on overcharge time. There was our first nuclear strike, which was every bit as awesome as I had hoped it would be. And the point for overcharging right now is that I want to farm up XP. I feel like we're a little tiny bit behind the XP curve at the moment, and I'd like to remedy that by giving myself just a huge influx of goodies. Now, there are other pickups that you can get out of some of the supply crates. Ones that I've seen is I've seen a 20-second shield that makes it so it's impossible to deal damage to you during that 20 seconds. I've seen one that hoovers up all of the XP, just like we've come to expect from every single game like this. I've seen one that detonates and blows up guys. So all of the standard fare stuff is there. Let's get our next Volt Discharge because that gives us a chance to paralyze enemies and freeze them in place every single time we electrocute them. And then from here, I need to pick up all this XP. I don't think it can despawn or whatever, but I'd like to have it. And so let's just grab it since the entire point. Oh my god, that nuclear bomb came in so clutch. Let's get ourselves an auto gun upgrade since that's the only thing that deals damage, and I am very much in the market for things that deal damage. We need to find ourselves another cargo drop to evolve one of our guns too, I think, is sort of where I'm sitting right now. When's my next... Oh, my next bomb was a nuke. That's fantastic. That's exactly what I needed. Unfortunately, I'm a little trapped in right now. There's a med kit and a free dash to replace the one that I just used on that side. And then over here, hopefully our bombs kill enough that I can work my way out of this corner and pick something up. Yeah, let's keep on focusing on getting our auto gun up next. That sounds good. I'd like to see... Oh my god, dude, these nukes are coming in so clutch right now. They keep dropping in exactly the right spot to make my life easier. I'm going to dash through there because I'd like to get after these supplies before they disappear and I don't know where they're at anymore. Let's move down this way. And we'll kind of just cut around all the noise and all the mayhem. And I'll probably come back the direction that I have no dashes left. Unfortunate. I thought I had a dash left. I was very, very wrong. I think I'm leaning a little too heavily on my missiles right now. It might be a good idea to start leveling up other stuff because I think we've got about 3 minutes before the boss shows up. So there we go. We've got electric grenades. Let's get that going because that creates zones the enemies can't move through. Let's take our auto gun up to level 8. Let's take our nanotech up to level 2 for more damage. Volt discharge up to level 6 right there. Sounds like a good idea. More electrical grenade level ups. More volt discharge. And that worked out pretty well, actually. I think we played catch up very, very well on that side. Nuclear bomb. Hit him with it. Let him feel the pain. Luckily, I appear to be immune to nuclear dusting and getting converted into a puff of gamma rays or whatever the hell it is that happens whenever you get hit by a nuclear bomb. We'll take that up to the next level. We need to find another blueprint, though, so that I can evo another weapon. I need to have at least a couple evoed by the time we get out of here. I took damage right there. Unfortunate. Is there a med kit inside that crate? No med kit, but a whole bunch of money. I'm going to use both my dashes just to make a quick play for this chest over here. I'm glad that I did because it had a big med kit inside of it. Nuclear bomb looks like it cleared off all the rest of the enemies that we had to worry about that were in pursuit. And what's going on over here? We've got another med kit on this side. I will take that. The boss will be here momentarily. And so the higher my HP is, the more manageable this is going to be. Please fire missiles. There we go. I am having trouble actually watching where enemies are at through all the visual effects and things from time to time. I have noticed that I've taken a hit or two. There's an immunity shield, so I'm going to use that to get all my dash charges back so that those are all ready to rock. Nuclear bomb's going to dust them all up, which I love to see. I don't see anything lootable over here. That might be one of the big chests right there. Nope, it's a double chest. Damn. Unfortunate. I mean, fortunate in that it gave me all my HP back, but unfortunate in the fact that I've got things right now that I need to evolve, and there's just no way around it. I'd like to have more than one gun at peak performance right now. The enemy variety seems to be okay. I've seen so far probably 9 or 10 different enemies that all do different stuff. Some of them fire projectiles, some of them are fast, some of them are slow. Thank God at no point during my playthrough did they create a ring of enemies that slowly collapses in on me, or a box, or anything else, because that whole thing is just completely and totally played out with these kinds of games. So if those were there, I would just kind of quietly roll my eyes, I guess. I'm going to dash through over here to try to grab this invulnerability shield so that I can keep trucking in a direction to find more goodies. And also get myself healed up. Give me that dash back right there. I don't know how many dashes I have. I have 2 dashes right now. I would like to have 3 dash. Perfect. We've got a level up right there. I would like another electrical grenade being thrown out whenever there's an enemy around, because we do have an elite on the field, right? I dashed, but I just didn't get away from it in time. What are you going to do? Give me that shield right there for sure, because then I can just cruise around and pick up goodies the entire time we're kiting this guy around without having to worry about taking damage. Do I have a nuclear bomb coming in soon? Nuke, you coming anytime soon? I would like you to come in, Nuke. Please come in. There we go. That's the good stuff. Let them taste the flame. Don't shoot, let them burn. We got a safety protocol override. Enemies killed by volt discharge start a new electric chain. That sounds like a self-propagating issue that could potentially blow up entire screens worth of enemies. So I like it. I'm gonna take that real quick. It looks like the random elites can also drop the prototype safety overrides too. Let's get 15% more damage on everything from nanotech, and I think we're gonna have a boss that we've got to grapple with pretty shortly. My health is good. I'm trying to think of like priorities right now other than just farming XP and trying to grab everything I possibly can. But like, frankly, I feel like we're in okay shape right now. Maybe I'll open up a chest and see if I can get myself another med kit. I did get another med kit, and it negated the damage that we took from that last lightning strike. There are a lot of projectiles flying around right now. There's a little bit of money up there. I've only picked up 200 bucks during this run, which, considering the present risk to my safety and life, does not feel like a paycheck that is worth taking this risk on. I would like to actually be up here when the boss arrives so I can overcharge my weapons and get endless damage spam. That feels like a really good idea. I didn't want to use that dash. I shouldn't have done that. I don't know why I used that dash. I used it a little bit prematurely. Happens to the best of us. Maybe we've been drinking. Okay. Just clear out a nice little blockade area before the boss gets here. I think our kill power is looking pretty good. Weapon variety feels like it's probably going to need to go up from my observation. But then again, I haven't unlocked everything yet either, so maybe that's a little casual to say at this junction in our gameplay. More damage to my electric grenades, sure. My poor orbital strike has just been left out in the cold this entire time. A little bit of a bummer. We do have a supply drop coming in up here, and I would be interested in having that. I don't want to overcharge just yet, but I don't have a dash right now. I need a dash. Let's get around these guys, because my autogun is also ready for Evo. So if I can grab this right here, I think that would be really, really good. Going into the boss with multiple evolved weapons. So now my machine gun just fires endlessly. After 50 rounds, it's got a short reload. It's no longer a weapon that goes da-da-da. Wait, da-da-da. It now just bucks non-stop, which is fantastic for us. We have a large biomass on its way in during a stream. This is normally the point where I'd be like, hey chat, your mom's here, but I'm not on Twitch right now, so unfortunately, I'm just gonna let you know that I thought the joke, but I'm not gonna deploy it because I want my brownie points as an entertainer, okay? For keeping chat bumping. Here is the boss. Let's see if we can get this thing done. The boss has very chunky HP, in my experience. So we will need to figure out a way to kill the thing. The good news is, even when we're not focusing fire, I think we should still be hitting him with nukes and things like that. I need to come over here so that I can get this med kit, please. You can guide the boss around. You're stuck inside the ring with him, but the ring moves along with him, so you can kind of move around to pick up things inside of a limited radius in order to make your life a little bit safer. I don't have any dash right now, so we are going to need to make a path here. We can level up during the boss fight, so it's still worth it for us to be grabbing as many cubes as we possibly can. But I'll be honest with you, right now there's a lot of particle effects and a lot of things happening that are difficult to track. Nuclear bomb hit the boss directly and he didn't go down. If I got hit with a nuclear bomb and it didn't even knock me down, dude, I would brag about that on every piece of social media that I had. I'd just be like, you know, they tried to hold me down, but it didn't really matter. Let's maybe go... I need to loop around, and I need to get to that overcharger over there. I don't think it's going to help. We've barely reduced his first HP bar down to half. As of yet, I haven't really made a lot of progress against the boss on any of my attempts. It's very, very difficult to kill him, especially because my guns won't focus on him. I would like to be on the inside of here, and what would be even better... Alright, we're supercharged. Blast this fool. I'm just going to stand here and get hit by projectiles, because we're dead either way if we can't get his health down. I mean, we are DPSing so hard right now that we caused the soundtrack to cut out. That's brag-worthy. I think you could put that on a CV. Please die. I would love for you to die for me, please. We knocked off one health bar, I think. I don't know what's going on with his other health bar. Hey, did we get him? We got him! And then the nuclear bomb wiped us out of existence, and now I just have to satisfy myself with being a shadowy outline on a wall. In between rounds, you get to play around with various upgrades on a 3-sided, I guess, perk tree that you can play around with. All of the normal culprits are here: extra damage, extra HP, extra credit drops, and stuff like that, more movement speed, all those sorts of things to play around with. But they are also locked by achievements, so you're going to have to do achievements to unlock a great deal of them. But for right now, let's dive back on into a game, and I'll go through my closing thoughts, even though I'll be repeating myself a little bit. I think some people like it when I've just got everything sort of collected in one spot at the end of a run, because, you know, some people like to skip through the video and whatnot. So in summation of all that we've said here today, because it's been kind of a hectic video, and I think that this is one of the best looking and feeling Horde survival games out there. You can tell while playing it that the amount of love and care that went into the lighting, the feel of the weapons, the movement, the attacks, the weather, the gore, the violence, the explosions, everything here looks absolutely great. It's fairly peerless in a crowded genre, which I think will help this game to pop off the screen and get people to wishlist it and check out the page. I liked everything about the presentation. I don't think there's any modifications necessary that I would suggest. It performs well, it doesn't lag out, the soundtrack is bumping, the guns firing sounds good, the thwut noises of bullets hitting and breaking apart bugs are all great. I think it's fantastic. Where I think I ran into a problem here, where I mentioned earlier, the game doesn't really seem to have a particular hook or any outside ideas from other games to make it stand out even further, which is what I feel like you need right now to make a Horde survival game successful. Right now, it's a very flashy, gorgeous game that ultimately falls short of... If we take a look at just the original Vampire Survivors a couple months after it released, it had secret maps, secret endings, secret characters, secret weapons, Easter eggs, which encouraged players to dive in over and over and over and over again, trying to collect and gather all those things. And then those things gave you even more variety and synergies to play around with once they were unlocked. Like, if we take a look at the competition in the Horde survival field, you've got ARPG survivor likes, Pokemon survivor likes, gun building survivor likes, narrative focused survivor likes, co-op focused survivor likes, open world survivor likes with exploration. And so we're kind of in a timeline right now where people aren't really making bog standard Horde survival games anymore. They all have like a hook or like an outside trump card that they're dragging into the fray to make their game more marketable. So what I mean to say here is just that the game needs a hook. Something that makes it different, drawn from a completely different genre well. I was thinking about it and playing around with it on paper because I really like Let Them Come, and so I do want this game to be a success. And the idea that I came up with off the top of my head, just to spitball what I'm kind of looking for when I look at a game like this, is like, what if while playing this game, you were on a video comm with the survivor from the first Let Them Come? He's working his way through the facility on a 2D side-scrolling profile drone camera that's in the bottom right-hand corner of the screen. Just like he did in the first game, he's holding the line and then trudging forward with his boombox and his machine gun. And you, on the surface, are in contact with him. And you have some kind of made-up woo-woo sci-fi nanoprinter scanner so that you're recovering things on the surface while wiping out enemies that you can send to him, like keys to doors he can't get through that get flagged on the map, med kits because his health is getting low, weapon upgrade kits that make him kill bugs better on his little side trudging screen down there. All of these things are increasing his chances of survival. He's got his own health bar. You're kind of looking after him, and the better you keep him alive, he trudges through the facility, and he will find consoles where he can unlock parts of the overworld map for you, areas that you couldn't get into that have a bunch of treasure inside of them. You could help him with his routing to decide what the thing you get back is. He can find things that he can send you, like blueprints, cosmetics, weapon upgrades that are independent, like mod slots that you can't get from the overworld fight because he's inside the military facility. You're just fighting on the surface with whatever you can find. Stuff like that. Then you just wrap the whole thing up inside of some made-up storyline that he's stopping the en route nuclear warhead that's arriving in 20 minutes from losing its tracking by interacting with targeting consoles periodically on his march through the facility. There you go. Now you've got a hook that not only ties your game to the previous game, it also links up the graphics, but that then makes your game different from the other swath of Horde survival games out there. And if you had something like that, I think you'd be in a magnificent spot right now, because I feel like that's all that the game is missing. An extra hook to be something more than a mob churner. And so anyways, this was Let Them Come Onslaught. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. That was just a suggestion that I played around with for a second, where I was like, okay, well, how could we make this both a Let Them Come game and at the same time add to the experience of a Vampire Survivors game while keeping it on theme? And I just like fiddled around with it with a little flowchart on paper real fast with like a quick square with like the game's general UI or whatever. That's kind of what I'm looking for at this point when I look at a Horde survival game. This game doesn't have it, but it is very bright and very gorgeous and it feels great to play. And so hopefully they can get one of those hooks on in there to bring it just out of the standardized expectation of a Horde survival game and into something truly special. My name is Splattercat. I sift through the pile to find what's worthwhile in the world of indie games every single day so that you don't have to. Today up on the chopping block, it was Let Them Come Onslaught. Tomorrow it'll be something else. Thanks for hanging out, and that's all I got for you, folks. Bye.